My name is Joshua Cameron. I am a combat veteran, served from 1999 to 2003. I have fought in a humanitarian capacity within the Balkans. I have fought in an active war campaign in the Middle East. I have worked in various different industries. I've worked for a factory. My very first job outside of the Army was a place called Bartlett, and I was there for about a month before they held a factory-wide meeting saying, to address rumors that the factory was going to close down and go to Mexico. They assured us that this wouldn't happen. Well, within a week, they fired everybody but a skeleton crew so that they could transition that move to Mexico. So basically, they had already decided that it was going to happen, and they just didn't want to have any sort of people who were angry with them. So they lied to our faces, which is effectively what corporate America does. We can't have rabble-rousers actually fighting for their rights, so we're going to gaslight you, tell you what you want to hear, and then do the exact opposite. So I've worked in other factories, and this happened in Indiana. I've worked in over-the-road trucking for Swift. I've worked for Halliburton, where I used my CDL as well. I was a oil well logger, and I lost my job due to the oil bust of 2015. I also currently work in pediatric medical research, and so I have a wide array of pretty right-leaning work environments and left-leaning work environments. My pediatric medical research is at the University of Utah, and it was 2016, I believe, where No DAPL was really taking off. There was a gentleman that I followed by the name of Jordan Sheridan. It was when he was with the Young Turks. I really enjoyed his investigative reporting, and I really credit his investigative reporting at the Dakota Access Pipeline protest to my Force Awakens moment. And that was when I realized that I could no longer sit still. I had to do something. I was looking and looking and looking. I didn't know what to do. And then the election of 2016 happened, and that just pushed me. And I just started doing stuff. Still didn't really know what to do, so I just looked to people who I admired, like Bernie Sanders. And so he had a call to arms to show up at nation's capitals, no matter what state you're in, and stand up for Medicare for all and stand against the repeal of Obamacare. So that was my first step into protesting. Since then, I've been to probably about 50 other protests. I've been to 30 other rallies, been to maybe 20 or 30 planning committee meetings, whether it be central committee meetings, because I'm now a delegate for the Democratic Party, even though I'm a registered independent. And the whole point is, if you are outside the system, you have limited ability to affect the system. Now, you can be outside the duopoly working for a third party, and with that, you are still part of the system in that political engagement while being outside of the system, and you will likely still have a limited ability to change things, and yet you still do have the ability to change things, because if you run for office, no matter how small, it's a lot harder for your voice to be ignored. And I realized that, which is why I ran for West Valley City Mayor. Being that I was running against the current mayor and 2 sitting council members, so I was the only person not on the city council at the time, I had a really small chance. But, here's a guy who has never run for office before, and I got, if I recall, nearly 15% of the vote. Not so bad. And so now I'm running for school board. And I have very limited time to canvass, very limited time to actively work on my campaign, whether it be due to school, whether it be due to my activism, whether it be due to my position within my nonprofit charity, Our Voice USA. I actively put myself out on the front lines. I actively show up to fight for strong issues because they're important to me. And we live in a time now where there are Nazis marching on the street in Charlottesville with torches, and we've got a president that says that they're very good people. And that bums me out. Ultimately, I have a 6-year-old little kid. And at some point, that little kid is going to realize what it means to be a soldier. And at that point, he's likely going to have some sort of education into World War II. And so he's going to likely see these goings on that are happening now this will obviously be a future time when we have this conversation. But I suspect at some point he's going to ask me in some approximation, Dad, when Nazis and fascists were marching on the streets, what were you doing? And I don't want to look into those big wide eyes of his and tell him I sat on my hands. While Nazis were pushing their way into our government, were pushing their way into the light of day, which they should never have the ability to do, and feel safe, that is. They have the right to say, hey, I'm a Nazi. They don't have the right to be free of persecution, especially when they call for the elimination of other races and other ideas simply because they are others. I can't look in those doe eyes and say, I did nothing. I have to do something. In a manner of speaking, I feel like Smith right now in the Matrix. I have broken away from my other self of where I was, and now I feel compelled to disobey. Compelled to civically and civilly disobey. Compelled to peacefully protest, albeit loud and albeit often. I feel compelled to stand against authoritarianism, whether that be because of my experience as a soldier or just a human being who's got a kid. I feel compelled to stand up for a greater good. And I encourage you all to find your voice. Each and every one of you has something to give. Each and every one of you has something that you're good at. Find that thing that you're good at and express it. If you're not good at something, well, maybe try to survive in that area. But find that place where you're good at and just jump in. How can you use that to help humanity? How can you use that which you're good at to help preserve our way of life and our rights and to help make America better than it is now? How can you use what you're good at to push healthcare as a human right, to push nonpartisan ideas like free college at the point of admission for everyone, to stop the illegal wars? These help everyone, no matter their political identity. And no matter their political identity, it's likely going to resonate with them. Because at the end of the day, people want their kids to have opportunity. And if you are fighting for that opportunity for the average American and for their kids, they're going to listen. Find what you're good at, whether you're a writer, whether you feel like you could be a good protester, whether you are a good cadence caller. Go out and chant at these protests. Go out and chant at these rallies. Go out and call chants as people are marching. And do what you can. Do your civic duty to stand up and make this world a better place. Because if we aren't making it better, the fascists are making it worse. And that is something that I cannot just sit back and do nothing about. I feel compelled to civically disobey because our very way of life is being threatened. And I can't just watch that with a passive sense of mind, but an active sense of mind. Activate your voice. Stand strong. Stand out. Speak your voice. Help us be your voice and be our voice. Help us stand together and usher in a better democratic way for all.